I don't use squirrel's hair because A, object to the price, and B, object to the fact that the squirrel's going to die, so I can have a paintbrush. That's not nice. So I'll rather go for the synthetic brushes. I don't like the hog's hair brushes myself, although there's lots of oil painters that use hog's hair. Personally, I don't like them because they're stretchy. And I work with quite soft paint sometimes, and then they tend to remove more paint than what they're depositing. And that also depends on the canvas. So when we talk about your canvases, then this conversation will go hand in hand. But they do tend to, as you load your brush full of paint and then you swipe, and then you can actually see the little lines that this is drawing in the paint. Whereas this here, you don't actually see the lines of the fiber of the paintbrush itself. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of hog's hair brushes, although I do have some hog's hair brushes that I will use for my earlier layers. Because your earlier layers, when your canvas is still dry and there's no paint and there's no oil on it, it can be quite difficult to place paint down. So I will use a hog's hair brush to do my imprimatura layer, for example, which is your initial getting paint onto your canvas layer, and we'll go through that at a later stage. But it's nowhere near your finished product. As soon as you start getting to your finishing layers, then in fact, usually beyond my imprimatura layer, as soon as I get to my dead layer onwards, I start using these.
There's a big difference between them.
Massive difference, yeah.
I thought this could be because these are old and we were using it on plasticine, making molds.
No, it's because it's actual hog's hair. They are very... if you like a rough tooth canvas or a heavy tooth canvas, that's fine. But if you have a look at the fine tooth canvas compared to the... Now what will happen is the brush that you use is going to be affected by the tooth, okay? Your hog's hair brushes are going to be more effective on your heavy tooth, whereas your nylon brushes are going to be more effective on the fine tooth. Depending, of course, on how many layers of paint you, and the more layers of paint you've got here, the less your tooth becomes an issue, and then your fine brushes are not so much of a problem. But heavy tooth canvases for fine work, it's not brilliant.
I actually looked at it and I wondered, compared it to some of the canvases that I've got at home, the paintings I've got at home.
Okay, so we're going to be working with those three, and the black and the white.
Just in the box.
For now. But before we get to the colours themselves, I just want to... It's probably working at an angled table, I really want to slide down. Okay, the things that I want to cover today, and ladies, this is for all of you. The more you hear this, the more it will sink in. Okay, we're going to do some colour theory. And we're going to do basic colour theory. We could talk for weeks and weeks and weeks on colour. So what I'm going to show you today is just your 3 colour palettes, which is your colour wheel. Get to that, and then of course your out of gamut colours. So don't worry about writing down, because you can actually take this. And don't worry about what I'm saying at this point. I'll make it all clear. Your out of gamut colours, and of course your black and white. Okay. Now, if you go onto the Winsor & Newton website, at least it was the last time I was there, they actually tell you to use cadmium yellow. I prefer chrome yellow because cadmium yellow is quite a lot warmer. It's a warmer hue to chrome yellow. So when you work on the color wheel and you use your cad yellow, your original starting point is a lot warmer, so you can only go more warm. Whereas here the chrome yellow is a much cooler yellow. So, and if you want that cad yellow, you can always create it. Whereas with this, you can't go down to a cooler chrome yellow. So I prefer the chrome yellow. I just find it more versatile. That's all. But on the, like I say, on the Winsor & Newton website, they actually recommend cad yellow. Strangely enough, I find that a bit odd. Okay, so we've got our chrome yellow, our permanent rose, and French ultramarine. Now what we're going to do is you're going to put a blob of your plain yellow. Use a cloth. So put a blob of your plain yellow, a blob of your plain red. And you'll see this red is very magenta. It's not red as in pillow box red. Okay, now these are your primaries. And we're going to actually write it here. These are your primary colours, okay? Red, blue, and yellow. Okay. Now the next step is that we're going to go halfway between the two. So we're going to take that, we're going to go here, and we're going to go here. Okay. So now what we've mixed our 3 secondary colours. So you're going to put a blob between the primers, okay? So your red and blue together makes the purple. And your yellow and blue together makes the green. Now, I have no qualms using this, okay, because this is something that you're going to refer to a lot.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take... Okay, so these are your secondaries. Okay. Now we're going to go to... and you know, like I was saying to you last week, there are certain colours that are not in this gamut. For example, of what out of gamut colours. Now, by gamut, you know what I mean by gamut? It's just the range of colours that those colours can create. Your browns, generally speaking, your browns are not in gamut. Then you also get your things like your cerulean blue, which is this blue here. It's a much more cyan version of blue. That's magenta there. Lovely bright pinks are out of gamut. So there are going to be some tubes of paint that's the ones that are put on that list, your out of gamut colours. So anything that's in gamut, I create myself. I don't specifically go out and buy a chrome yellow, for example. I mean a cad yellow. I buy chrome yellow and I put a little bit of rose madder into it to make a chrome yellow, things like that. There's only one purple that I buy. The other purples I make. And that particular purple is just a really nice, just because I like it. So, right, so now what's going to happen is black and white come into play. Now, if we had all sorts of other blacks here next to it, you'll be able to, and look, I mean, there's a very subtle difference, but you'll be able to see that the one black looks slightly warmer than the other one. Now, do you know the warm one cold colours theory?
Yes.
The warmer colours are on this side of your colour wheel and the cooler colours are on this side. So if anything leans towards the blue, then it's a cool colour. If it leans towards the red, then it's a warm colour. Your yellow is fairly neutral, because yellow can be very easily either acid or warm. So yellow is relatively neutral. But every colour that you look at, you're going to ask yourself, what color bias has it got? What temperature bias has it got? In other words, is it leaning towards the warm version or is it leaning towards the cooler version? So what bias has it got? And to get what you want, does it need more red or does it need more blue? Very seldom needs more yellow, because yellow's usually your base. But you can ask yourself, does it need more yellow to get there? If I want yellow ochre, is it's a yellow, but it's very mustardy. Okay, so I can put those two colours together. I'm never going to get mustard. It's too clean. I've got a lovely, warm, pretty orange going on here. I don't want lovely, warm, pretty. I want to dirty it up. So the only other option I've got available to me is blue. Okay, that might sound counterintuitive because there's actually no such thing as blue. Ochre. It's yellow ochre, but you add the smallest amount of blue. You can see how it starts to dirty up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need a lot more yellow in there because it's still very orange. It's nowhere near being yellow ochre. But if I put enough yellow in there, I'm going to pull this down to be as light as yellow ochre. Blue is actually what's going to give me the mustardy colour.
Yeah, I see.
So yellow ochre is actually not a colour that you need to go and purchase. I do, because I can. But you don't have to buy yellow ochre. You can make it. And it's the same goes with any colour that is in gamut. As long as it's not one of those other gamut colours. Now, you also get another thing that affects colours is transparency. Your colours. Some colours are transparent and some aren't, and that's like that for a reason. Okay, we're getting closer to the yellow ochre there. I won't keep going because we don't necessarily need a huge big blob, but that's fairly close to yellow ochre. Yeah, you've got some colors that are transparent and some that are opaque. Now, it just so happens that and it's probably like this for a reason. The colors that they use on the color wheel are either transparent or semi-transparent. Your red and your blue are fully transparent colors, and your yellows are semi-transparent. Most of the yellow pigments are semi-transparent colors. Okay, none of them are completely opaque. An example of an opaque color would be your titanium white. It's it's solid. Okay. Now what happens is you can, for example, mix the purple that's also transparent because you're putting two transparent colors together. But because this is only semi-transparent, when I get my orange is not going to be anywhere near as transparent as what the original red was because I'm putting quite a lot of heavy pigment in. That's the actual pigment particle itself that carries the color is either transparent or opaque. You can make it transparent by adding more oil to it, and I'll get to that at a different point, but that's a different kind of transparency. The actual pigment itself is transparent. Now, transparent paints and opaque paints are like that for a very good reason, because you have a style called glazing and a style called scumbling, or a technique called glazing and a technique called scumbling. Scumbling is when you use opaque paints. You want to block out the layers that are below it, whereas glazing is when you're actually enhancing the layers below. So you glaze thin layers of transparent colors, and then those 2 layers or 3 layers or 4 layers of colors dance together, and the cumulative effect that they have is a very glowing version of the color that you would have got had you taken all those colors and mixed them together. So if you, for example, paint red on your canvas, wait for it to dry, and then come back and paint blue, you're also going to get purple. But you're going to get a different quality of purple than you would have if you'd taken red and blue, mixed them together and painted it. You understand what I'm saying? Because on the mixing together, you've got the red and blue pigments that are occupying the same space, as opposed to when you put them in glaze layers, they're separated, and you usually put them in a layer of oil between. So you'll paint your red, and then you'll paint a layer of oil, and then you'll paint your blue. So you lift the two apart, and then you get this effect of light traveling through the layers and coming back. So the transparency of paints is quite important. Now, just the very basics of your color wheel. You're now going to use your blacks and your whites and I'll come to black in a minute. Black is a completely separate conversation, but you would now use these colors mixed with black or white to get your values. Now, value is when you're talking about the darkness or the lightness of the color, and leaning towards white or leaning towards black. That's value of color. So tone, if you're looking at that painting I did over there, that's just pure value. It's either towards the black or towards the white. If you're talking about hue, hue is the actual color itself. So that is a red hue, that's blue, that's green, that's the hue of the color. You've got value, which is the degree of black to white. Then you've got hue, which is the actual named color, for want of a better description. So it'll be either the red, blue, or whatever. Chroma. Chroma is the intensity of the color. Okay, so in other words, I don't know if I can demonstrate that, but you can have a version of that red that is thin. It's almost weak, and that's going to be a low chroma. Or you can have a lot of color in there, and would give you a high chroma. So it's the density of, or the intensity of the color that you're working with.